guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. For today's video, I'm going to be doing I think it's the all about my palettes tag. It's a tag that's going around at the moment. This video is inspired by the collab that Allie Glines and I think Samantha March did. I watched Allie and I love her channel and I saw her do this tag and I was like, I have to do that tag. It looks like so much fun. So here we are today. I'll leave all the palettes linked and listed down below if you wanted to check them out, but let's just jump right into the video. I have the questions here on my phone. So the first palette is your newest palette. And my newest palette is the ABH Sultry Palette. This is not a new palette by any means, but it's the newest to me. I just created this makeup look using it actually, but this is what she looks like here. Absolutely gorgeous. So many neutral kind of cool tones in here. These shimmers here are to die for. I haven't really had too much of a play around with it, but I'm loving it so far. And I think the look that I created turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, this is my newest palette. Cool. Just realized that my camera wasn't filming that whole portion. So we're gonna rewind, pretend that didn't happen. Where's my phone? Okay, my oldest palette. Who remembers this guy? This is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. This is what it looks like here. What a throwback. This was like the palette to have. I remember, like I probably started watching YouTube and then I picked this palette up because everyone was using it. It was like the go-to palette back in the day. It's actually probably maybe like one of my least favorite palettes. I feel like it's so... I don't know what the word is. I feel like it's just so blah. That's the only way I describe this palette. The shimmers are not shimmers. Like this palette is like the formula back where shimmers were just very subtle, like shimmery on lid, like nothing like metallic and like foiled eyeshadows, which we are like known and used to now. Like these were what shimmer eyeshadows were back in the day. So I feel like when I go to use it, I'm just like, man, this is like so like lackluster. I want that oomph. I want like that beautiful, smooth, buttery shimmer. These just kind of look like very flat on the eyes, I feel like now. I might declutter this one, maybe give it to my mum or my sister or maybe one of my friends, because it just sits in my kind of cupboard now. I'll show you what I mean. And this palette like wasn't a cheap palette. So I'm gonna go in with Marzipan and Creme Brulee. So that's what they look like here on the fingers. So I've swatched them there. That's what they look like. They look not that good. Like I'm not gonna lie, not that good. And I'm gonna go into the ABH Sultry Palette just to show like a comparison, like what we're used to seeing now as a shimmer. Like this is what we're used to seeing now as like a shimmer. Like look how like foiled and metallic these are in comparison to these ones down here. I feel like the makeup industry has really just knocked it out of the ballpark now with shimmer eyeshadows where sorry, I'm just getting a lot off. I feel like now the industry standard on what a shimmer is very different to what shimmers are in this palette. So I think I'm gonna declutter this one. I feel like doing this tag video really made me look through my collection to see what I've got and just kind of figure out, like I feel like I'm just keeping this just because it was probably literally one of my first palettes that I ever purchased. So I think it's got a bit more of like a sentimental kind of value to it, but it's really not something that I need to be keeping in my collection because I don't even reach for it. So yeah, I might do a palette declutter. Let me know down below if you'd be interested in watching that one. I think I'm gonna do a declutter though. That'd be cool. I don't have very many palettes like at all. Like I watch these videos and people like, it's like Angela Bright was like, I have 140 palettes. I was like, I think I have like 30, no, probably not even 30, maybe 20 palettes, if that, including like face palettes as well. Like I think I have a makeup collection which is more than just like the average everyday person. I'm like a makeup enthusiast, so I've got makeup, but I don't have a crazy collection by any means. So let me know if you want me to do a palette declutter or a makeup declutter video series. Like let me know because I really need to go through my stuff and I thought I may as well film it. Next up is my most expensive, and Huda Beauty is my most expensive palette. This is the Desert Dusk palette. I'm pretty sure this cost me like over, if not like maybe $100. So quite steep. And I've used it maybe less than a handful of times. I don't know. I filmed a video with it. I've only got like one video on it. I will leave as well throughout this video links up in the cards and also down below where I kind of list these palettes. Any videos that I've done tutorials with the palettes, I'll leave that all linked and listed so you can check those out. But I think I've only really done one palette, like one palette. I think I've only done one tutorial on this palette, which is terrible because it cost me so much money. But I don't know, and I know it's a Desert Dusk, and like this is the theme, really warm, rusty, kind of red toned colors. Like I get that, but I don't know. I don't know. As I'm looking at it in the viewfinder here, like it looks really beautiful. Maybe I just need to play around with it a little bit more. So anyway, this is my most expensive palette. Following on from that, we have the most affordable palette. And my most affordable palettes are the Colourpop palettes. These are the 12 pan palettes. I have a few of them, but this is the most recent one that I've used in a video, so I thought I would just pick it up for today. These 12 pan palettes are super affordable. I think they're between like $15 and $20. The shipping as well from Colourpop isn't like crazy expensive either, especially if you're able to use someone's like discount code or something like that. The quality is actually not that bad. Sometimes there's a few kind of hit and misses within the palettes, but overall you can get a pretty decent look using this palette. So yeah, these ones are definitely my most affordable, but that's not a reflection of the quality at all. The quality of these is really great for the price point, that's for sure. The next palette is your everyday palette, and mine is the Give It To Me Straight by Colourpop palette. It's not really, my everyday palette is a mix of some single eyeshadows, which you would have seen. I think I filmed a video a couple videos back. I'll link it up the top here. It's my like makeup for oily skin, or my everyday makeup for oily skin video. I use a combination of single eyeshadows in like a Z palette. That's my everyday palette, but I thought that was kind of cheating, so I thought I'd grab an actual palette, which I did use for a while as my everyday palette. It's the Give It To Me Straight palette by Colourpop. This is what she looks like, and as you can see, there are some really, really great neutral, everyday, wearable looks in here. Basically everything along this row here, these shades in here, if you do want to go and deepen them up, you've got a few options as well. I have done a few looks, I think 3 looks using this palette, although those were definitely not every day. So you can definitely vamp this up to more kind of daring, bold looks. But I think if you steer away from these the darker shades in here, you can definitely get some really beautiful everyday neutral looks. So this would be my pick for an everyday palette. Also, because it's so affordable, I don't feel like I want to be like using my really expensive palettes as for my everyday palette. I want to use something that's a little bit more affordable, so I'm not like wasting it, if you know what I mean. So another reason to go with a cheaper palette. Now you guys are gonna laugh. The next one is my most colorful palette, and I mean, if you watch my channel, you guys know that I am not about colorful eyeshadow palettes. I've got a lot of colorful single eyeshadows, like the Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadows, and also a few Morphe like single colorful eyeshadows, but I don't really go out and buy like a full colorful palette. I probably need to just have one in my collection, so if I ever really want to do a colorful look, then I've got like a good set of basic good colorful colors. But me, normally I like to stick with a bit more of a neutral palette, kind of venturing into like the reds and oranges and purples a little bit. As far as like blues and greens and that kind of thing, I don't really venture into it. So when it said colorful palette, I was like, hey, I've got colorful as in like oranges and red, like something like the Huda Beauty palette, also something like the Jaclyn Hill palette as well. But then I thought the most colorful palette that I've got, which has really different colors in it, like nothing that really super goes together crazily well, was the Prism palette. I don't know if anyone's really going to pick this one up, but this one was just the one that I thought of when I thought of colorful, like so many unique shadows all put in together. Gosh, what a throwback. I have literally done maybe one look using this palette. I really need to bust it out a bit more. I thought it was a really good palette. I find it difficult to think creatively with this palette. Like I'm always just drawn to sticking with like Eden, Unity, Parallel, maybe Satin and Lure. But as far as like any of these kind of like jewel shades or Sphere or something like that, I don't know, I really need to go outside my comfort zone a little bit more and try this one out. But yes, this will probably be my most colorful, like lots of like different colors in one palette kind of palette, if that makes sense. Next up is your smallest palette. Now I don't really go for like quads or like really small palettes. Probably like a 9-pan palette is as small as I would actually go, but this one's a 12-pan. It is the Sigma Neutrals palette. It's probably the smallest just as far as like size. Yeah, it's smaller. Yeah, it's just a little bit smaller than the Colourpop palette. It's definitely the smallest palette that I own. This is what it looks like here. It is a really beautiful palette, and it probably could have been one of my like everyday palettes as well. The top row is beautiful. A few of these shades just across here are great for deepening up. This one here in the corner here is gorgeous for a transition shade. Yeah, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. Sigma did a really great job with it, and it's actually probably one that I'm going to mention a little bit further down in the tag as well. But yeah, definitely my smallest palette that I own in my collection. Then we have the biggest palette, and the Jaclyn Hill original palette is the biggest palette that I own. This is what, I mean, you guys all know what she looks like. And probably this one could have been passed up as my most colourful palette as well. But I wanted to add a few more palettes into this tag because I feel like this one could basically cover so many. Like this could be my everyday palette as well, which I use a lot of these shades in everyday looks as well, which I definitely have. And it's definitely my biggest palette. One of my absolute favorite palettes. I love it. I would totally recommend this palette to anyone who's wanting to get into makeup, anyone who's already in makeup. It is a fantastic palette. I don't know if I'm too keen on picking up the volume 2 of it. I don't know. I feel like it's very similar shades, like color story, but I do really like the original. But this is in the original packaging as well. It is the OG, like original Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. It is also my best memory palette. This is a palette that I used on my wedding day. So this is the exact palette that I used on my wedding day. I'll leave a link up in the cards up above if you wanted to check out a tutorial on it. But yeah, this is my wedding day palette. Obviously we didn't venture into any of these ones down here. But yeah, all these shades up here was my wedding day palettes. It's definitely something that I think about every time I use this palette. The other palette as well, which has a really great memory, was the Sigma's neutral palette. Again, double ups. The Sigma Neutrals palette was basically like my first kind of PR like packages that I ever got from Sigma. So if you guys don't know, I am a Sigma affiliate. Code's down below if you wanted to check it out. But yeah, this was like, I don't know, it was like, I don't know, it was just such a great thing to get to kind of, I don't know, felt that someone like believed in you to send it out to you, and like that, yes, what you were doing was worth it. Like, not that you needed to get PR to know that it's worth it, but you know what I mean? Like, it kind of showed progression, if you know what I mean. So I don't know, that was a big step for me. And I definitely don't get PR like every other week. Like, it's very, very sporadic that I get sent it. So yeah, 2 palettes that I definitely have really fond memories of. Palette that is worth the hype. Again, Jaclyn Hill palette. I could use that palette for like every single tag. But for me, palette that was totally worth the hype, the Modern Renaissance palette. This palette, oh, she's looking manky. This is the Modern Renaissance palette. Look at her. Definitely an OG. I really need to try to get Primavera in a like single format because it is such a beautiful shade. Look at it. Ooh, so gorgeous. As you can see, I definitely have like 6 that I really enjoy using. The ones up here are great shadows, but you've got to be in that kind of fiery, really red, pinky mood to pull it off. These ones here you can definitely wear on a really everyday basis. But yeah, Modern Renaissance kind of kicked off my collection. Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. I don't own them all, but I pick up ones that I'm really drawn to. I did pick up Prism and Subculture just because I wanted them in the collection, but I definitely feel like now I'm going to be a bit more selective because I don't really use them that often, and I want to pick up ones that I know I'm going to wear and get a lot of use out of. So yeah, Modern Renaissance, definitely worth the hype. Now, on the flip side, palette that's not worth the hype. I'm going to say palettes not worth the hype. The Jaclyn Hill Morphe Vault Collection. We went from having the Jaclyn Hill original palette, which is like my holy grail palette. I love that palette. It is so good. To then this. These are kind of duds, and I'm looking probably to declutter these ones and maybe see if I can sell them because I just don't reach for them. I don't think that they are that good. I know they're meant to be the rejects of the palette and they try to keep them in a color story, but even though that may be the case, to sell a palette like this that pretty much has at least 4 shades, hang on, all the oranges here, this one, Access, Secure, and Agent, pretty much all the same. Like, you're not going to be able to tell too much of a difference once it's on the lid. Same goes for Prowl and Smooth Criminal. Like, they're just not different enough to warrant having like a separate palette. I think it's because I was so drawn into Jaclyn Hill and I just wanted to support her and have the Vault palette as part of the collection, but like, they're not that great. Which one was it? This one here was the worst eyeshadow. What's this? The Bling Boss. Oh my god, I will leave my video to this. Again, I've done videos on all 4 of these ones. I'll leave them linked up in the cards or down below. I had such a bad eye reaction with this one. I think it was Sparks that caused, like, I had such a bad time with this palette. So yeah, it's just the quality was not great. I think the only one that I would really, if I was going to go buy them, I would not buy the Vault. I'd buy a separate one. This one here, which one was it? The Morphe, this is the Dark Magic one. is probably like a good addition to the Morphe, like the original one, just for deepening art, smoky and sultry kind of colors. But the other ones are just not really worth it. Like, again, like so many same shades. Like, really, how many oranges do you need? Like, they're so similar. Like, there's just not enough differentiation between the palettes. So I'm definitely going to be looking to declutter these ones. I just might give them away. I'll see if I can sell them, because they just sit in my cupboard, and I mean, someone else might really enjoy them, but I definitely would give these a pass, and I probably wouldn't recommend picking them up. I feel like I'm doing so many double ups, but because I really don't have such a big eyeshadow palette collection. We're gonna do favorite from your favorite brand. My favorite brands are probably, I do really like Morphe, but I do really like Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I was gonna say Soft Glam, but since using Sultry, I think I'm gonna go back to Sultry at the moment. So like, this is gorgeous. I'm so in love with it. I can't wait to try more looks with it. It's definitely right up my alley. So I don't know, it's probably my favorite at the moment, but then I've got to go back to Jaclyn Hill again. It is favorite palette from a favorite brand. So yeah, those are my two favorite palettes. I've got to say my most used palette again is the Jaclyn Hill. It is my most used palette, the one I've done the most looks with. As a palette, I do have definitely way more shadows in my collection. They're all singles, which I've either depotted from like my other Morphe palettes, or that I've gotten from Makeup Geek in all single format. So my most used palettes are palettes that I create using my single eyeshadows, really. But in a palette form, which makes it tricky, again, probably Jaclyn Hill or the Modern Renaissance. They're probably my most used palettes that I own. So guys, that is the eyeshadow palette tag from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll leave a link to Allie and Samantha's video down below so you guys can check out the originals. But this is my take on it. I know there was a few double ups. I hope you can forgive me. I really enjoyed filming this for you guys. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave me a like, thumbs up, subscribe down below before you leave, be kind to one another, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah!